Welcome to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. Our show brings you closer to the heart of Texas A&M athletics through powerful stories of perseverance, purpose, and life-changing opportunities made possible by 12th Man Foundation donors. From student athletes and coaches to former students and dedicated staff, you'll hear firsthand how donor support shapes the lives of Aggie student athletes in competition and beyond. Whether you're a lifelong Aggie or simply curious about what makes Texas A&M so special, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's episode. Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. I am Ivy Robinson, and today I am in studio with Aggie baseball student athlete Jake Duer. Welcome to Answering the Call, Jake.
Howdy.
Thanks so much for being here and taking the time to chat with us today. Now, I've got to know, just to start out this episode, can you share with our listeners, tell us where you're from and a unique fact about yourself that you think maybe not many people know?
I'm Jake Duer. I'm from Flower Mound, Texas. I am a senior. This is my first year at A&M, and so far it's been amazing. An interesting fact, I'd say I've been to all 50 states.
Really?
I think that's an interesting fact.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Wait,
actually,
yeah.
I lied. I haven't been to Hawaii, but
Well,
I'd like to say 49.
That's pretty impressive. Did you do a lot of traveling growing up?
Well, so I've lived in a bunch of states. I was born in LA, lived in California, and then I moved to New York, lived there for 7 years. And so just from two opposite sides of the world, a lot of driving through states, a lot of driving through and visiting. I've got a lot of family all around the nation that I get to visit. So it's pretty cool.
Really
I've got to experience a lot of different cultures in our country. So
yeah.
I think it's interesting.
What are your top places to visit?
Oh man, I got to go with, I think Florida's really cool. I was obviously at a Florida university last year, and Boca Raton is a beautiful area. It was beautiful. I think that place is one of my favorite places I've ever been to, just living standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go wrong with Florida. I mean, I'm a big beach person.
Oh my gosh.
Love Florida beaches.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot top that. So good.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
My house was located in Delray Beach, so I was literally walking distance from the beach. So
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it's very different than College Station here, but you take what you can get here. This place is cool in its own way.
Yeah. How do you think your friends and family would describe you as a person? Like, what would they say?
A lot of people would like to say I talk more than I think, which I don't think is true because I think more than I talk. But people think I'm a very positive person. I always try to find the light in things because, life's short and I don't like to dull or think about the negatives. So I feel like people would say I'm a positive human being and just, kind, being able to just see the light in everything.
Yeah, those are great qualities and great characteristics. Now, one more fun icebreaker question for you. How did you choose your walk-up song for this year? And is there any significance or story behind it?
I just think it's a really cool song,
Yeah.
Gets the people going. I feel like everybody knows it. It also got pretty viral during the time that I used it. Every little TikTok or Instagram reel,
yes.
like the edits of different schools, they would do that song. So I'm like, that's a pretty cool song. And then I also, last year I played at East Carolina and some kid had it and it was Friday night. And obviously East Carolina is, they call it the jungle. So the jungle was jumping when that song came on, the lights were flickering. So I'm like, man, College Station does it better. So let's see what happens when I use it. So it's been great so far. And a lot of people like to sing it.
I've always thought picking one song for a walk-up song, that is so hard to do because there's so many good songs. I don't know how y'all do it, honestly.
Yeah, some guys like to do multiple. I don't like the multiple because then I'm trying to guess which one's next. Or it's
right.
I like to fit one vibe. And if I start switching vibes, maybe that switches my at-bats, switches my mindset. So
yeah.
I like to stick with one and just roll with it.
Now, if you were forced to swap walk-up songs with someone on the team this year, like you had to, who would you swap songs with?
If I had to swap, like theirs right now?
Yeah.
Luke Billings has a really good one, Attention Span, Revolution. It's a really good reggae song. I kind of told him to do that. And then Nico Partita, Skywalker, was actually my walk-up song last year.
Oh,
and
okay.
If you are a true Aggie fan, you would know that Caden Sorrell used that song as well. And I was the one who told Caden Sorrell to use it. So maybe it's props to me.
So all the credit goes to you.
Yeah, props to me.
Well, Jake, okay, taking a step back really quick, tell us, how did you get into the game of baseball? When did it come into the picture?
I think the first word I ever said was baseball. Unironically, I've always been a huge sports person. I grew up in LA, became a huge Dodger fan. I was a huge Dodger fan. And my dad and his two brothers and his sister's husband all played professional baseball. They were all pitchers in the big leagues. So, baseball's always been around my life. And so for me, it was all about, I just want to do what they did. I want to follow in the footsteps of what, all of my uncles did, or even my dad. So my dad took, countless hours out of his days just to work with me. And I told him from a young age, I wanted to play pro ball, and dream's still happening. So he's always been there for me, and it's been great.
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice he's given you for baseball?
Just hit the ball hard. It's a failure sport. And, for me, he's always been great at, like, if I have a bad game, it's not as bad as you think. Because guess what? You get to play the game tomorrow. And then you get to play the next day. And then the next day. So it's all about just having, a goldfish memory, I like to say. And he's always been good at just kind of breaking that into my mindset as a hitter, is this game is about failure. And once you realize you fail more than you succeed, you will start to succeed.
Do you think it took you a while to adopt that mindset? Like, because I feel like that would be hard, especially growing up. Probably in high school,
Very hard.
You really have to keep going and pressing forward and really, like, I don't know, kind of grow callous to the times when maybe you don't succeed or, have successful games. But when did that breakthrough moment happen for you?
I would say right when I got to college, because when you get to a certain point in your baseball career, everyone is good and everyone is the best player in their high school. And so when you get to college, you're just playing with a bunch of guys that did the same thing you did. And so what's the difference between you and the same guy who plays your position who had the same exact high school career you did? It's all about mindset. And for me, it was once I got to college, I realized, okay, the only way I'm going to stand out is if I have a good approach and my mindset is set on what I need to do in the box to get the job done. If I just rely on my skill, I'm not going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Catch our listeners up to speed. Tell us about, the journey and path that you took right out of high school. Well, first go back and tell us a little bit about your recruitment process, just what that was like in general, and then explain to our listeners like where all you've played and the path that has led you to Texas A&M.
Yeah, so I committed pretty early on in my recruitment process. It was in high school, my junior year, so COVID happened my sophomore year, and that kind of shut down everything. I didn't have a sophomore year season. There was no travel ball. There was nothing. And so there was like these little showcases here and there where they'd have a couple scouts come out and just see. And I ended up committing to, at the time, my dream school, which was TCU. And I played at TCU for 2 years. Loved TCU. TCU is great. Just wasn't really the fit for me mentally and physically for baseball. And so I decided after my sophomore year, let's hit the portal. Let's see what's open. And I found myself in Boca Raton at FAU. And it was a beautiful area, beautiful school, beaches everywhere. It was almost like a luxurious area. And so it was amazing. I got to experience like a completely different environment that I've ever been in and live there on my own and just play the game that I've loved. And so luckily had a great start to the year, started playing really well. And about 3/4 halfway through the year, I ended up fracturing my first metatarsal, which is right below my big toe, and it ended my season. And so, it wasn't great. I was pretty upset and I felt like life was over. But then talking to my dad, it's like everything happens for a reason. And I've always stood by that. And no matter what, it was just life telling you this is why it's happening. And so that ended up push came to shove with it, and found myself in the portal again, and A&M reached out. And one of my best friends from high school, Caden Sorrell, he was really, really high on this place. And he was like, hey, man, it'd be pretty cool if we played together again, wouldn't it? I'm like, let's see. And so next thing you know, my birthday is on June 5th. The very next day, Michael Early calls me up and started the recruiting process for coming to A&M. And I took
What a great birthday present.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So, I kind of got the heads up like, hey, Coach Early's going to call you. So I was like, all right. Well, we'll see how this goes, because I had a couple visits lined up already. I was still in a boot. It was just,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was all about just rehabbing and seeing where I was ending up, because draft was happening, all that. I just wanted to have almost like a secure plan on, if draft doesn't happen, I want to find a home that I will feel, positive in going into. And I feel like this is the best decision I could have made.
For sure. Now, you went to Marcus High School. Had you ever visited or been to Texas A&M prior to being recruited?
The only time I ever came to A&M was a showcase in high school.
Okay.
I never thought about A&M.
So like you didn't have real
I had
ties here or like friends.
No
really.
single thought about A&M. I never knew about the culture. The only time I ever watched A&M was my senior year in high school. I watched the TCU versus A&M regional game at Blue Ball Park, and that was a pretty darn good game. Like it's one of the best baseball games I've ever watched in my life, just from the environment standpoint. I remember seeing I think Dylan Rock hit a home run off the batter's eye that year in like the 6th inning or something, and he threw the bat 30 feet in the air and the bubbles were going.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, you probably remember because
I remember that.
I that is imprinted in my head from like watching that, because I was like, holy cow. Because I was committed to TCU at the time, so I was like rooting for them, and then they ended up losing, and I was like, holy cow, that was electric.
Like second guessing yourself, like, okay, did I make the right decision here? No.
No, you never know. But
Okay, well, interesting. Yeah. So tell me about like when you were being recruited by A&M when you came here for the first time and you're really considering this place. When you got here, what made it feel like home? Tell me about the culture of the program, like some of the returners. Obviously, you have friendship with Caden, but what else? What else stood out to you?
I want to say, Coach Early. I put all my chips into him because he is someone that is always in your corner. He's always trying to see what he needs to do to not coach you, but just make sure you know that whatever you need, like he's going to do what he can to help you. And he made that very known in my recruiting process with him. And when I got here, he was super friendly, but he's a guy that I want to win under. And he's a guy that I want to just put all, like I already said it, but just put all my chips into. And, I'm going full throttle for that guy. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, he always says it, do the common things uncommonly well.
Yep.
And that's something that we've all done as a team now, just because we all are pushing in one direction, and that's under him.
Yeah, I really like that quote. And we've had several other Aggie baseball student athletes on the show, and they have mentioned that as well. And it's like stuck with me. It's a good quote. What do you think makes Aggie baseball, this program, unique and stand out compared to other D1 programs?
I just feel like there's a standard that we hold ourselves to higher than most programs. A team will come out and score 7 runs and say, hey, good job. For us, it's like, that's not a good job. We need to score more. We need to do more. Mm-hmm. And there's always like this almost chip on our shoulder that we hold ourselves to such a high standard that if we don't make it, it's almost like you just like want to punch a hole in the wall or something. You just get so upset because we work so hard and we do so much. And so to not be able to, succeed, mm-hmm. it's something that you just like always just want to just have in the back of your mind and just go. Was
there a moment during fall ball or like during the off season where you kind of realized like, oh, wow, this is a special team. We have what it takes to go all the way this year?
I'm a very competitive person. And so in the fall, no one's gifted a spot. And so for me, I'm still competing. Even though I'm a senior, I'm still competing to play. And I'm looking over and I've got Jorian Wilson, who's a freshman, who's 6'4", 200 something pounds, and he hits balls to the moon. I'm like, how in the world am I going to just do something that will make me look better than he already does? So it's all about the competitive nature. And to have these guys behind you, it's mind-blowing. The depth we have on this team, we could put any of these guys out there and I'll have trust that they're going to get the job done because every single one of them is so elite and super mature.
What's been your favorite game moment or series so far being an Aggie? Like when you're reflecting on your time so far here?
I think the Globe Life weekend, obviously we lost one of those, but I think that Globe Life weekend, it really showed not only what kind of team we are, but it showed me how impressive our fan base is. We go and play obviously the number 1 team, and we had like 15,000 people at that game. And I swear 98% of it was wearing maroon. And I was mind blown. I was like, holy cow, like we are on the road. We're close to my home. Like this is my home. We are in Dallas. Like this is my home.
Yeah, all those DFW Aggies, yes. They showed up.
Oh my gosh. And it was really, really cool to see. I'd like to say that, or anyone would say it opening night. That first Friday night at home, packed house, fireworks going on. That was my first time stepping on the field officially in that uniform. It felt different than anything I've ever done. It felt very different.
2 very special moments for sure. And I've got to know, like Bluebell Park, Olsen Field, the 12th man, when you think about the game day environments at home, what's your favorite tradition, or like what do you just love about the traditions within Bluebell Park?
Man, the Section 203 does it so good. They have so many different things that they do, and it's so funny to watch. And they're always doing like the craziest stuff. And I could still hear them out there, but I think that's awesome. But I think my favorite one has to be doing the saw-off right when the game starts. You run out there, you do the
Yes.
national anthem, your heart's racing, and you turn around and you see 6,000 to 8,000 people just all moving in one direction, all singing the same song. I think that's pretty cool. Not a lot of schools do that.
For sure. That camaraderie is second to none here. And you mentioned you mentioned Section 203. I've got to know, what's the most hilarious thing you've witnessed happen
Oh,
in that
man.
section? I'm sure you've had.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point where I don't even know why they all just started taking their shirts off and just started like spinning it in a circle. And there was like a group of like 30 of dudes just doing that. I'm like, what are we doing? I got to say that one. Or when they do like the throw it in the dirt chant and they're all spinning in circles. I'm like, what?
Yes.
What are we doing?
Yes,
But it's hilarious. They're awesome.
it is. What would you say to the 12th band and just the support of those who show up during y'all's games? Like, how do you describe your level of support, and why are you grateful for fans who come and pack out Bluebell Park?
It's honestly a blessing. I've had a really long baseball career, and sometimes I didn't feel like anybody was on my side. And, that's anybody in baseball. It's a really hard sport. And to just have not only my team, but now this band of people that all just come and support one team and support me, it means so much to me, not only on the field, but off the field. People are coming up and just kind of introducing themselves, and they kind of recognize me now. And that's something that really means so much to me, because I'm just playing a kid's game. And if it's that impactful for people, it's a blessing. It really is.
Yeah. What would you say is like your why of playing, giving your best, giving your all every single day, and your why behind this sport?
For me, life, I always feel like it's just too short. I've already said it, but life is too short for people to stress about things like as little as baseball. And for me, I've always found a way to just always push myself and play positive, because, some people aren't blessed to have lives like I do. Like my grandma, she lived in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, awful time. And for me, it's like, she's my why. She's gone through so much pain and so much to just give my mom and my aunts and uncles a perfect life. And it's hard. She had to leave a couple kids behind in Vietnam when she came over to the US. Like, imagine making that decision. And I'm worried about me swinging out a changeup in the dirt,
Right.
And so for me, it's all about just, life is a lot bigger than just the game of baseball. And it's way too short for you to be stressing about stuff like that. And I lost my grandpa a couple months ago. So,
I'm
it's
so sorry.
it's okay. It's life. And so for me, I only think about the positives with him now. And that's how I always want to think about it.
Yeah, it's such a good mindset, Jake. I mean, like, just thank you for sharing that, first of all. But yeah, recognizing that this opportunity for you to be here at Texas A&M, like, you recognize that as a blessing, and it's not something that everyone gets to do. And I think that's great that you're taking that in stride, and that's how you approach each day. Kind of staying on this note, being a student athlete at Texas A&M, kind of bringing back our support of the 12th man, we want Aggie student athletes to have the very best, the best, so they can succeed and excel both in the classroom and in competition. I want to know, what has been your perspective of just the student athlete resources here that you are able to utilize? Like, how has it helped you succeed?
I hate to say it, but it feels like I do nothing. I feel like everyone is just there for me. We've got Mindy Phillips, who's the ultimate academic advisor. I feel like she just gets my schedule going, and I just got to show up. She's like, hey, here's your classes. Here's what you need to do. Get there. Yes, ma'am. And especially with like the nutrition side, it's unbelievable. Like the Sin Center, I've never had anything like that. And so for me to just be able to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's unbelievable. The amount of time and money that we are able to save because people buy into this program and buy into Texas A&M. It's a blessing. It really is.
What's your favorite meal at the Clark Nutrition Center?
Oh, man.
What's your go-to, like, breakfast, or are you a breakfast guy?
Yeah, I like breakfast. I can say breakfast and dinner. My breakfast, oh man, they make a really good blueberry pancake. Oh
Do
my
they? Oh
gosh.
my goodness, that sounds awesome.
I'm a sucker for blueberry pancakes. Like I'm a sucker, and they make them fresh right then and there. I just walk up and say, "Hey," she already knows. She knows me by now. I hold my fingers up for how many I want. She said, "I got you." Gives me 2 blueberry
That's
pancakes
awesome.
on the spot. But for dinner, oh man, they do the steak bites bowl, and it's just steak bites and like mac and cheese or like steak bites and rice. Phenomenal. Or they have a pasta station, fresh pastas every
Oh
single
my
day.
gosh. Yep.
It's whatever the day holds for that pasta, but it's always different. It's amazing.
Touching on the academics a little more, what are you studying? Like, what's your major?
I hate this question because me transferring so much, I've had to change majors a lot.
Yep.
I started off in kinesiology at TCU and realized, wow, me remembering however many bones there are and however many muscles there are, and then going to practice at 4:00 and then having a test the next day about all that, I can't do that. No way. No way. I cannot do that. So I changed from that, and then I went to business, changed from there, and then I finally found myself in communication. So now I'm in communication.
That is awesome. There you go. Great field, great place to be
Full
in.
circle.
Speaking from experience, that's awesome. How do you personally balance just the demands of academics and competition?
I feel like it's all about just, there's certain schedules you got to stay on, and if you stick to a routine, it's really not a hard thing to do. Like I really never understand how people can't get their academics done because we have a practice set from, let's say, 2 to 6. Okay. That's it.
Yep.
Like we have lift before that, 2 to 6 practice. Just get your homework done. For me, it's you sit down, you get it done. And then I have, I do it for an hour and then I have the rest of the day. So I never really thought it was a hard thing to do to just balance out your competitive nature and then just getting what you need to do done. It's a routine.
For sure. Well, speaking of routines, that segues great into my next question. Do you have any pregame routines or things you have to walk through before you take the field?
Yeah, I always call my parents. Right before the game, I'll call my dad or my mom just to remember why I do it, obviously, but just to, relax and realize like it's baseball. I'm just playing a game, no matter if they're there. My dad's made it to almost every game now, but, if they're there or they're not, it's just baseball. So I call them before every game. Me and Nico Partita have this thing now where he does my wrist tape. And so he'll tape my wrist for me. And that's kind of our good mojo. So those are my 2 routines right now.
Has it always been the same throughout your whole baseball career?
I'd say calling my parents has always been the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's them or my grandma. I've always just been able to just communicate with them. But other than that, yeah. I feel like that's just the same. But, I like to switch it up and do something different. It depends on how I do in the game and depends on how my teammate does. If I do something for my teammate and they're like, dude, we got to do that again. Heck yeah.
Like, I'm not breaking this up.
Yeah. It's like, I'll bring up Nico again. Like we do our wrist tape. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do it today. And then he goes 4 for 4 with a grand slam. So now I'm like, you only do my wrist. I won't do your wrist. And so now that's our routine.
That is hilarious. It seems like you just came into this program and became really close, to all the teammates. Like, how would you describe from the outside looking in just the brotherhood of Aggie baseball and what your teammates mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, you're with 34 dudes, all the same age as you for, I'd say, about 50 hours a week, And so for us, we got to love each other or we're going to fight each other. Like there's no in between. And this team is probably the closest team I've ever been on. I feel like I could have a normal conversation with every single guy on this team, which if you're a baseball player, that's not a true thing for every team. But every single one of these guys, man, they just want to win and they just want to get better. And, it's a fun group to just pull on the same string with. Every single guy's just going in the same direction and just doing the right things. And it's a very, very well-knit team. And everyone's just super connected.
Yeah, and it shows. Like, you can absolutely tell. I forgot to ask you this earlier, but outside of baseball, what do you enjoy doing? Do you have any hobbies or things you enjoy in your free time, which I know you'll have very little of? But
with the little free time I have, I just like to just leave this world and play video games. And I like to play MLB The Show and just play different games, Fortnite, Minecraft. I just like to just, shut my mind off and just relax. And I feel like that's my way of relaxing is just playing video games just because I feel like it's not the real world. It's an escape. Yeah. It's my little escape.
Right. Let loose and have some fun. Yeah. Going back to like game days and just your mentality, what is going through your mind every time you have an at-bat? Like when you step up to the plate, what is going through your mind?
Nothing.
Literally nothing.
I feel like the best way to hit is to not think about hitting. And for me, it's just, the only thing you think at the box is, I'm going to hit this ball hard. Like that's the only thing I think in the box. And I think that's what's helped me be so successful is shutting my mind off. Because when you start to think, that's when you start to guess. And when you start to guess, that's when you start to miss. And I feel like that's just the downhill effect when you start to think and do stuff differently. So if my first AB doesn't go well, I don't change a thing. I just fall back on my routine, fall back to what I do best. And that's just trying to hit the ball hard.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Looking ahead to the remainder of the season and then beyond, what are your biggest goals that you've set for yourself, like in your college career? Anything specific you want to achieve?
I want to hold that trophy up at the end. I want to hold that trophy up, not only, selfishly for me, but for my team. We bust our butts for so long, for so many hours. We get bruised, beat up. It don't matter. We lose guys because of injuries. And it's all about just why you want to do it. And that's why we want to do it. We want to hold that trophy up. We want to win it all. And so for, selfishly, I want to win. Like that's the only thing I think about is winning. That's the only goal I have is winning. So
absolutely. And then goals beyond your time at Texas A&M one day, when that chapter comes to a close, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself going in this life?
I want to play this game as long as I can. And so, however, if it's 15 years or 15 months from now, I want to play this game for as long as I can before I got to hang it up, because I just, I don't want to have any regrets in my life. And I feel like if I ever hang these cleats up early, that's a regret. But yeah, I mean, no, I don't. I just, I feel like it's a business, and you can't really look at it as I want to go to this team because, what are they doing?
Whatever opportunity comes your way.
Exactly. And what are they doing differently that, this team isn't, so it's all about just whoever gives me the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And then last question for you today, Jake, why are you proud to be an Aggie and wear the maroon and white?
I'm proud to be an Aggie because of the brotherhood that I have joined, but not only the brotherhood, the culture, and this place is very, very well knit. And everywhere I go, it's like, oh, what's up, Jake? Gig 'em. Everyone is so just about each other. Everyone's so about the sports, but just the environment that A&M is. Like, I'm so proud that I get to just put on this jersey and play in front of the 12th man who puts not only their blood and sweat and tears into this, but their emotions. Every single person in those stands is playing just like we are, I feel like, and it's unbelievable.
Jake Duer on Answering the Call podcast. Jake, thank you again for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Gig 'em.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Answering the Call. If you're enjoying this show, please rate and follow us on your podcast streaming platform of choice so you can be the first to know when a new episode drops. As always, a big thank you to our incredible podcast producer, Megan Rohde, to 12 Man Productions and Texas A&M Athletics NIL Department. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to every donor and season ticket holder for always answering the call through loyal support of Texas A&M Athletics and our student athletes. We will be back soon with more content. Thanks, and gig 'em.